Greetings and welcome to TheAdipose's Beginner's Shooting Tutorial Part 3. In Parts 1 and 2 we covered 10 fairly basic tips on how to improve your shooting in Battlefield 3. And in this third part we're going to be looking at some more advanced tips once you've kind of mastered those first 10, or at least developed, had a go at those first 10. These tips are designed to be more about the accessories that the gun uses and how to get some of those kind of tricky faraway shots. And in the final part, Part 4, I will be showing you some exercises that you can use by yourself to improve your shooting for when you get onto the battlefield. This series is designed for people like myself that have come into Battlefield a little bit late and struggle to get a grip on shooting, and it's kind of showing tips that perhaps some people will just kind of know automatically, or for some people they might find it a bit simple, but I know for me I would have loved to have known all these tips when I first started, so hopefully you will find these ideas useful. Please make sure you've watched parts 1 and 2 before you get to part 3, this one, as I do refer back quite a few times, but let's get on with tip number 11. Not all guns are the same. Some are designed for quick bursts of fire, close range. Some are designed for long range sniping. Some are designed to be a bit of an all-rounder. Some are designed to blast shotgun shells. But you need to know what gun you're using, and you need to know what its limitations are. For example, this AEK I'm using here, trying to take out a long range target, very nearly impossible. Out of a total of 4 possible blasts I fire in this sequence, only 1 hits, and even then I had to spend quite a time lining it up. Each gun has things that it is great at and things that it can't do or struggles to do. So you need, when you're taking your shots, to only go for the ones that are manageable with that particular gun. Don't waste your time. Newer players, or players that are trying to improve, often have a favourite class that they really like to leave. In my case it was the Assault class. And one of the things that really helped me branch out and use different classes, which helped more in my clan or in conquest matches, was to find guns that react in similar ways across the classes. Now I often use the M16A3 amongst others, and you'll notice that it has this up and to the right recoil pattern that we've seen before. And when I went to engineer, the engineer class, the guns would work at different ranges, they would have different recoil patterns, different number of bullets, etc, etc. So what really helped me was finding a set of guns across the classes that were more or less similar, which meant that while I was trying to develop my memory and my my subconscious way of playing, it was a lot easier for me to use similar guns across the classes. In this case, the M4A1, the engineer class, almost exactly matches the recoil pattern of the M16A3. So find pairs or groups of guns across the classes to help you improve faster. As you are no doubt aware, in Battlefield it isn't just a matter of picking a gun, it is picking a gun and then deciding what attachments you want to stick on it, because the attachments will modify the gun in some way. Now remember this shot from earlier? The gun couldn't really make it, but as soon as you stick a heavy barrel on the bottom of the AEK, it all of a sudden is able to make some of these long range shots and take out a far more distant target. Now these attachments don't completely alter the gun, but they modify it. They change it a little bit. So what we need to do, or what you need to do, is when you find a gun you want to play with, work out how you want to, how you'd like to improve its behaviour, and then choose your attachments from there. Just doing some single shots with the AEK, aiming at the middle of those 2 black lines, and the AEK isn't very accurate at all on those single shots. But let's try again with a heavy barrel, aiming for the dead middle of those 2 black lines, and this time with the addition of the heavy barrel we can see it is a lot more accurate, getting a lot closer to the dead center of those two black lines. So if you wanted to use the AEK and you wanted a bit more long distance accuracy or mid to long range accuracy, perhaps a heavy barrel would be the way to go. But what about on full fire bursts? This is the AEK with no attachments put on it, and it goes up and to the left, fanning out in kind of a cone shape. This is the AEK with a heavy barrel attached, again doing the full magazine, and we're not correcting for recoil or firing in bursts here. And you can see that the pattern is more or less the same, although it does go up a little bit higher, because the heavy barrel does have a downside in that it increases the amount of upward recoil, but not by much. The main downside of the heavy barrel is that you can't use any of the other things like a suppressor or a flash suppressor and things like that. But supposing we stick on a foregrip. This time we're going to use a foregrip. The foregrip is designed to reduce the side-to-side recoil, and you can see that the bullet pattern no longer really goes up and to the left, it's more like up. It does have a slight left pull, but overall the whole pan is far more vertical. But now look at the downside. If I go for the accurate shots, in aiming for the dead center of those two black lines, the foregrip has really adversely affected the gun here. So if you're using the foregrip at close range, you've maybe got some improvements. If you've got full-on body shots, you've got some improvements, but headshots have now gone the other way. But of course you can combine. Have a look at the foregrip and the heavy barrel with the AEK, and what we can see now is a nice vertical pattern, which is definitely improvement. And because the heavy barrel improves the burst shot accuracy as well, it's pretty close to the center, but not as good as the heavy barrel all by itself. But remember, these are the attachments that I think worked for the AEK. All the guns are different, so don't just blindly stick the heavy barrel and the foregrip on every single gun. You need to have a look at what that gun in particular needs and how you play and what you would like. For example, this is the AK-47 without any attachments on it, and you can see that it's more or less vertical. Let me just do it again with no attachments, just for a comparison, because there is a random factor to these guns. It's pretty much vertical. There's no real need for the foregrip on this gun, because you're going to add on the negative effects without actually really benefiting from the positive effects. So know your gun, find its strengths, find its weaknesses, pick some attachments to either make the strengths even better or to try and counteract some of the weaknesses, because like this G3A3 here that MG is firing, why put a foregrip on a gun which is practically firing vertically? Don't just use the same attachments all the time, pick what works for your gun. A bonus tip! Hurrah! Now, one of your options when choosing a specialism, instead of choosing sprint mod or grenade mod or anything like that, is the cover mod, which basically means that when you're being fired upon, instead of the screen going very blurry and your gun jumping around a lot, your screen will go a little bit blurry and jump around a little bit, which can help you fire back. It doesn't have a huge effect, but it does have an effect, so why not try it out and see if you think it helps you. In lots of my clips today I've been helped by my buddies from Team Europe, which is a Battlefield 3 clan. If you're looking for a clan or fancy changing clan, the link is at the bottom of the video. Why not come join us for a game. Tip 14. Adjust burst length for distance. In the previous videos I have recommended that when you shoot at someone you try and use a burst fire of about 5 bullets, as I'm doing here. But the truth is that as the distance of your opponent changes, it makes sense to adjust the length of your burst. If the opponent is slightly nearer, then you might use a slightly longer burst because more of your bullets are likely to hit. But as the opponent is getting further away, then more of your bullets are likely to miss if you use longer bursts of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bullets. So shorten them down a little bit. Instead of using, say, bursts of 5, which I took 3 bursts to kill him, why not shorten it down to 3, which gives you short, accurate, jabs to aim towards the head, and you'll be taking down more distant targets very quickly. Using this technique, you'll be surprised actually how far you can get with assault rifles and carbines, especially if you've got an accurate gun with a heavy barrel. Very distant targets here, taken down in 5 or 6 very short bursts, maybe of just 1 bullet or 2. And or even on incredibly distant targets like snipers, if you aim for the orange triangle rather than their head, you might find you can take them down. This technique is brilliant for countering snipers. Just make sure they're not looking at you when you try it out. You'll find that if you can just see the tip of a sniper, just their head sticking out, shorten your bursts right down to 1 or 2 bullets, and after 5 or 6 bursts they will go down. The big exception to this rule are the light machine gun support class, which actually get more accurate the longer you fire. Tip 15. Reflect and correct. Because the main way you're going to get better quickly is to think about what you do wrong and how you can fix it. So take this situation for example. I'm running towards an opponent. I can see him behind the skip. I should have killed him, but he killed me. What did I do wrong? Well, I was probably shooting while I was moving. I aimed at his body rather than the head. And for the next few clips, I just want you to have a look at some of the mistakes I've made, and see what I did wrong, and then try and apply the same thing to your own playing. When you lose, why did you lose? And reflect on it and correct it for next time. That one, hopefully you got it. I reloaded as soon as I killed the first guy and was instantly killed by the second. Reflect on when there are some situations where you'll just get shot and there's nothing you can do about it, but there are some occasions when you should have got the other guy and you didn't. So reflect on it, correct it for next time. What about this one? What am I doing wrong here? I'm not leading the target. My gun was clearly behind him as he ran across. If I'd have got the gun in front of him for my burst fire, I probably would have got him. What about this one? Well, if you noticed, I dragged the gun up from the floor as I ran across, so I was running with my gun down and I wasn't pre-aiming for the head, and it cost me. How about this little example here? Well, this one was quite subtle, but I actually put the sight down before I moved, as opposed to moving and then bringing the sight down. So I could have whipped the sight across quicker. That one there, it was nothing to do with my aiming. It was my positioning and my moving, and that's a whole other series of tutorials. Because sometimes it isn't the shooting; it's where you move and where you're facing. That one's quite subtle. I actually changed target in the middle of all that fire bursting. I was shooting one guy and then I started shooting the other, and the end result was I killed neither. So kill one before you move on to the other. Yes, our old friend, killing one, reloading straight away, and then getting shot by the second guy. It's a mistake I make over and over again. This next one, again, it's not a shooting error here, it's the way I'm moving and it's the way I'm looking. If you're interested in a set of tutorials on movement tips as opposed to shooting tips, do leave that in the feedback, and maybe I will make a series. Shorter bursts required. I was still bursting in groups of 5, probably needed 1s or 2s at the most to get that shot there. That one, I'm not using a heavy barrel, and the target was just too far away for this particular gun. Remember, know your gun, know your targets, and if it's out of range, just don't bother going for it, because you're just giving away your position. This one, quite subtle again. I didn't compensate for the recoil. If you watch that, if you replay that one to yourself, you'll see that the gun shoots up above the head each time, and I didn't pull down. Probably would have made the difference and would have got at least one of them. That time, I pulled the sight down too soon. So reflect, correct on all of the tips I've given you over the last 3 videos, and you'll be shooting much better real soon. So that's all my shooting tips for you. There will be a part 4 when I give you some exercises to try by yourself, but in the meantime, check out some of my other videos on my Let's Play series. Come and visit us on Team Europe if you've got the time, and do subscribe and leave feedback and a like if you have enjoyed them. I hope these have been useful. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you soon on TheAdiposeTV. Take care.